The 2023 horror psychological thriller flick, that is the Apartment 7A, the film begins in 1965 New York City, introducing the character of Terry. We see Terry doing her makeup and being ready for her dance rehearsal and the show because she's into this dance practice and all these things. And she is very young and talented dancer, brimming with the dreams of Broadway stardom. And her arrival at the Bramford, which is an iconic yet eerily forbidding apartment building, is just shrouded in very subtle dread. As Terry settles into her modest apartment, the audience gets a very glimpse into her ambition through a very heartfelt scene that is set in this film. And she practices her dance routine in front of a cracked mirror, kind of being hopeless and ignoring the pain in her injured leg that is just haunting her every time and giving her problem while dancing. So to resolve that problem, she always consults doctor, but the tragedy just strikes when her injury just become worse during an audition because she need to be in best shape to perform the audition. So right, but it goes around the other way. So it gets worse, and so now the montage just shows her receiving rejection after rejection and culminating in her eviction notice. And this is when Ruth and George and a very affluent looking older couple offer her refuge, and we see that this couple is very kind of old, and their kindness seems genuine at the first sight, and we as an audience are also not aware of what their intentions are. And the character of Terry just trusts upon them because she have no other way around, but their lingering glances and over friendly demeanor just creates the uneasiness. And Terry just hesitantly accepts and moving into their apartment right now. During a tense dinner scene at Ruth and George's apartment, Terry now meets the producer Alan, a very charming Broadway producer who praises her talent and sees and perceives her talent. The conversation, while flattering, has undertones of manipulation as Alan just subtly probes into her vulnerabilities, and later we see that he tries to invite Terry to his apartment, and where he shows her old theater playbills and promises to make her a big star and help her any sort of help to make her a big star and provide a medium to show her talent off. And the apartment is just filled with relics that fill out of place, I think, and like the old marks and a portrait of a woman that just seems to watch her like they are just kind of watching it all alone. And Terry accepts his offer, and her hope is kind of rekindled, and she hopes that she may get a better chance, and maybe her future will be all right if she makes it way too big out of this opportunity that she has got now. And at the grand party hosted by Ellen, Terry mingles with the very powerful figures from the Broadway world, and the atmosphere is intoxicating. We see the vibrant music just playing in the background, and the glamorous costume all around we see there. And however, the subtle details, that is a locked door when she is told to avoid, and guest mentioning sacrifice for success, add a layer of very stiffening tension that arises in this scene right now. And Terry, I think she does not drink that much at first sight if I see the character of her, but later in this film we see that she drinks more than she intended. So, and her perspective becomes just increasingly fragmented here. In the very chilling moments of the film, we see that Ruth whispering to a guest while glancing at her. The scene just fades as Terry vision blurs, leaving the audience as disoriented as she is. And we do get a really kind of flashback and dream sequences of Terry whenever she is asleep, or whenever she falls asleep, or kind of just not in place. So she wakes up the next day with a mysterious mark on her wrist and fragmented memories. Determined to understand what happened, now Terry just starts exploring the Bramford history that is just very dark history right now, and her search leads her to the building's basement where she finds old documents, photographs and journals detailing the lives of past residents who were just living there and sharing a very dark past. And she learns about the disappearances and rituals that were linked to the Bramford. In one particularly unnerving sequence, we find that Terry finds a very diary that belongs to a former resident who wrote about hearing voices and seeing figures in the shadows. As she reads, faint whispers and footsteps echoes around her, and building the suspense around that. Her growing paranoia starts affecting her interaction with the Ruth and George, who dismisses her concerns, and we really see some of the glimpses where we see that the character of the Terry is seeing some kind of demon or some kind of shadowy, ghostly figure that is lurking around the apartment. So this is what is the history of the Bramford is linked, and that thing just goes around in her mind and kind of creating hallucination. But we see that it's not a hallucination, and she actually sees the figure there. Terry begins to notice that Ruth and George overly attentive behavior, which shifts from first they were caring and later they were trying to take control of her. So there is a gradual shift in their behavior, and they insist that she stop asking questions about the Bramford and claiming it's for her own good, one it's for her benefit. But I don't see any benefit for that. But in a one unsettling moment, we see that Ruth serves Terry tea and watches her drink with a very unsettling and unnerving smile. And Terry finds herself increasingly isolated, becoming alone and finding herself alone with Ruja and George just subtly sabotaging her attempts to contact the outside world. And in one scene, she discovers her phone missing, and Ruth brushes it off, saying everything you need is right here. And in one night, we see that a vision of the past scene where Terry experiences a very vivid and nightmarish vision. The scene just transitioned to a very sepia toned depiction of the Bramford in the 1930s, where a group of residents just performs a very dark ritual, and Terry sees a woman similar to herself being offered as a sacrifice, her scream echoing through the halls. The vision ends abruptly as Terry wakes up drenched in sweat and clutching the diary she found earlier. That was narrated in that, and the sequence just blurs the line between what is reality and what is hallucination, leaving both the Terry we as an audience questioning about what is real now. I am a bit sorry if the pictures are misplaced because I tried to do the voiceover after I have edited whole of the clips of the movie. So you may find difficulty if I am narrating one of the scene or telling one of the scene, and that may come after 1 or 2 minutes. So sorry for that. Now let's continue to the story further. Desperate for the answer, Terry just confronts Alan, accusing him of being involved in something sinister, and he initially just denies it, and but after some time, he eventually admits that the Bramford has a very long history of ritual designed to bring success and power to its resident, and he implies that the Terry's participation is essential in this process. So the confrontation takes place in the Allen's apartment, where the strange artifacts and occult symbols are prominently displayed as we see there. And Terry just tries to leave the place because she does not feel comfortable right here, or she does not just agree to the idea of doing such things. And Alan just blocks her path, warning her that leaving the Bramford is not the option right now, as she is making a very terrible and big mistake here. Terry makes several attempts to flee from the Bramford, but each more harrowing than the last one. And in the one scene, we see that she races down the stairwell only to find herself on the back of her floor, as if the building is trapping her, or creating a sort of loop in which she is trapped. And doors slam shut, whispers grow louder and louder, and ghostly figure just again appears in the shadow. In a particularly intense moment, Terry reaches the lobby only to find that couple, that are the Ruth and George, waiting for her with very calm but menacing expression, and they escort her back to her apartment, warning her that it is too late to run. In the climax just unfold where we see in the Bramford's hidden basement, where the Terry is brought to a secret chamber filled with the cult members, and the couple just reveal that their true roles as the leaders of their cult, and Terry is led to an altar. The room is illuminated by flickering candles, and the chants of the cult grow louder, creating a very overwhelming sense of. We also seen the scene before this that take place where the producer, that is the Alan, kind of misbehave with the character of the Terry, trying to just touch her inappropriately in that scene, and where she, in her anger, just stabs him with a very pointed and very sharp pointed needle knife directly into his stomach area, into the abdominal area, marking the end of the producer's character, that is the Alan. And in the ending of the apartment 7A, we see here that the Terry just ultimately dies in a very tragic, very not very heart wrenching and very defiant act. And the film reveals that she was targeted by the satanic coven led by the Castivites, and manipulated her into becoming the vessel for the birth of the Antichrist, despite her attempt to escape the abort the pregnancy. Because we see here her stomach area, abdomen area just became just larger in one of the scene, and she was also reading the book where she finds that she has become a kind of way to give birth to the very unknown entity. So The Coven's supernatural power thwarts her effort, and overwhelmed and refusing to comply with the plans that just go along they were planning now. Terry takes her own life by jumping out of the apartment window where she was earlier with of a couple and other people around, symbolizing her resistance to the old evil forces controlling her. And the final act just ties directly to Rosemary's Baby, as Terry's death just mirrored the earlier references to a woman's suicide in that film. And the Castivates move on to target their next victim, Rosemary, ensuring that the continuation of the dark scheme that is the Terry's fate serves as a chilling and a prelude to the events in the 1968 classic that was released way back, and highlighting her tragic role in the cycle of manipulation, the horror, the thrill that just begins in this journey. And the movie was really good. I think it was superb. It was well written, and some parts of the movie just felt right. The emotional connect with the character of Terry and her day-to-day life struggle that she was just trying to become and make a name for herself big, but she could not due to some circumstances. And but she tried at least. But just this, sometimes you just try really hard, but the fate has something different for you than what you think. So this happened with her, and there was introduction of the apartment 7A, and not so related couple came in between. So the film just take a very another role. The direction of the film just went very far away. But I think the 1960s setting and the ominous Bramford's apartment just creating a very strong sense of dread in this movie. The cinematography and set design very effectively immerse the viewers in the airy world of the history, and I think the Terry's character arc was really good in this movie, and adding a very layer of human vulnerability to the supernatural horror that was already present in this movie. We see some shots of demon and devil-like creatures, but that were not so long, or that are just glimpses. So that makeup and overall texture was there good, and climax was good actually. I did not thought that maybe she will suicide or do something like that, but I think that was the proper way to end the film. Unlike I may have some disagreement criticism over the movie, especially with the pacing issues, because film dragged in its part, especially I think in the middle part where we see the build up to the revelation just felt overly prolonged, kind of delaying the climax and making the film not unbearable, but stretching it a little too far. We see that, and connection to Rosemary's Baby is intriguing, I think, and the film doesn't explore the psychological or societal themes as effectively as its predecessors or the other films of this genre. And there is a factor of predictability. You can see that you can just predict if you just watch the movie closely, but overall it's a very very good movie and a compelling watch, I think, for fans of horror. And just I think it really works best as prequel that enriches the lore of original while starting as very tragic tale and on its own, I think. So the movie I think really delivers, and the character of Terry was just played very very well by the girl, and she really nailed the character. We feel for the character when she plays it. And I think the number 7 itself is a symbolic, and it references the occult significance. So we see that something related to the devil or occult, like that number 666, it was 666 that was related to devil. So similarly here the 7A, I think it's a symbol referring to a certain ritual of some kind, and the layout of this apartment just mirror elements seen in Rosemary's Baby, including a very hidden passageway and an altar-like area in the secret basement. And the strange symbol carved into Terry's wrist just resembles the Coven's mark from I think Rosemary's Baby, and it's an early sign of entrapment, linking to here the cult and marking her as a chosen vessel for the Antichrist. And Terry's hallucinations are not just random; they are glimpses of the Bramford's dark history. For instance, when she sees a woman performing a ritual that mirrors her own fate, the vision just foreshadows her connection to the coven and influence her own destiny. And especially the part related with her healing foot, I think, because her healed foot just represent the fleeting deceptive nature of the coven's promises, and as it comes at the cost of her own autonomy and life. So thank you for watching Cinema Shadow, and subscribe for more such breakdown.